Good morning. So today we're going to talk about networking in Dubai and why it really feels different than networking in North America. So thank you for being with me. My name is Peggy Van de Plassche. If you're new to the podcast, welcome, welcome. And if you are a returning listening or viewer, thank you for being here. So as you might know, I've been in Dubai for a week now. And the goal for me is really to, uncover business career opportunities. And so obviously I'm doing a lot of networking, going to events, meeting people one-on-one. And as I said, it's been a week, 10 days, and it already feels so different. I see, like patterns that are, again, significantly different than what I see in North America. And I really, really enjoy these opportunities to have chance encounters. And I would say it's really night and day with what I've been exploring in North America. So the first thing is that the networking is almost suspiciously pleasant. So maybe you're like me and you're not a big fan of networking in the best situation, but actually here people are really genuinely open, they're generous with intros, they're quick with sharing their advice. You can secure face-to-face meetings literally in 2 days, not 2 weeks or 2 months, and no multiple reschedule. And these are real life meeting, not Zoom meeting on top of that. And when you meet, it's often for an hour 15, an hour 30 of undivided attention. Like you don't have a distracted 25 minutes that is punctuated by vibrating Apple Watches and text and phone calls. It's really on you. Very, very interesting. And you get, as I said, intros, invitations to events, and a lot of that is actually with no strings attached, like there is no bait and switch, no guilt, no things like that. And the best of all, you don't have a last minute, medical emergencies, ghosting, and the things I've written on in the past. It's in the calendar, we meet and let's do it. So, and maybe you saw in my previous podcast that I had done quite a bit of work, like organizing already events, aligning people already in my network, belonging to communities. So it really makes this experience feels, I would say, frictionless, fluid, and easy and pleasant. So why is it that it works that way? So there are different things in Dubai that makes it different than North America. And I would say the first thing is obviously you have tons of expats. So 90% of the population here in the Emirates are expats. So these are people with a different DNA. People who have rebuilt their lives, their careers, their network. So they know what it takes and they extend the hand rather than guarding the door, So there is a specific DNA that explains why Dubai is so different than other places in the world, and mainly what I know, North America. There is also a very big abundance mindset, this idea that, the tide lifts all boats. It's not about the competition. It's not a zero-sum game. People really understand that supporting others is not going to deprive you from something. And another very important point is the economic environment. So when the economic environment is about expansion, which is the case here, instead of maybe survival, which is unfortunately the case right now in Canada, the behavior really shifts. People are less defensive, they're more expensive. So that is also an explanation of why I believe the networking here is so much more supportive and pleasant. And also, again, going back to this expat DNA, you're talking about people who are, by definition, looking to grow, looking to go outside their comfort zone. So they are more comfortable, I would say, maybe than people who have never really left their hometown in social settings. So you end up with people who are probably, I don't know if it's necessarily more extroverts, but they understand that they are going to need to rebuild a network. They're going to have to go and talk to people they don't know. So there is a bit less awkwardness. There is a bit more proactivities, like you don't really see any wallflowers, in this type of event. So it's very refreshing compared to environments I've been here where, like the introductions are really rationed as if it was sugar during wartime, and the support is only offered to you once you've made it already, meaning that you don't really need that support anymore because, that's the definition of having made it. So it's very, very different in the term of being offensive versus being defensive. So way easier here, I find, to be supported. Of course, it is all, it's not just all sunshines, rainbows, and butterflies. So, like you have like everywhere bullshit. You have your share of professional storytellers. Obviously, I already met some of that between, like the advisory firms. That's amazing, but doesn't even exist yet. Middle-aged dude who still refer to his average studies as his main credential. The investment advisor was actually only selling villas. So it's you still have people that are, again, old car salesman, so you also need to use your own discernment and be able to spot them. So first, not to believe what you're told, but also not to waste too much time with that. And I would say, obviously, networking events are prime hunting grounds for sales speech. People don't go to networking events to buy. They usually go to networking events to sell. So is it necessarily the best place to go if you're looking, I don't know, for a job, career opportunities, things like that? I don't think so. I went because I really wanted to, meet people, and I did. I met interesting people. I never thought that it would be where I would find my next gig, but you never know, or it can be a friend of a friend. But these are interesting events because these are not necessarily places where it's a place where everyone sells. But at least, like people are very nice. It's very polite. And, even when people realize that, no, you're not in the market to buy a $25 million villa or to renovate your kitchen, the pitch doesn't die mid-sentence. People still kind of speak to you for a few more minutes and then they go to somewhere else. I've seen behaviors a bit less pleasant in North America, where the second people realize you're not a target, they're gone and they don't even look at you ever anymore. So it's a bit more well-rounded, let's put it that way. And of course, you always have a bait and switch tactic. That's classic, And you also have the people who, as I said, believe that their time and their profile is more important than yours. Again, human nature, you'll have it everywhere. One thing that I think for me has been amazing here is, and I mentioned that already, as I said in one of my previous podcasts when I explained why I was going here. I came here as well in order to kind of test a lot of, personal development, professional development learnings I had in the last few years. And I have to say my bullshit radar, but also my assertiveness have been sharper than ever, So my bullshit detector is on very high frequency, which, has not always been the case, to be honest. I was probably more someone naive and believing what people were telling me, oddly enough. And what is good as well is that, I no longer feel guilty about saying no and moving on, obviously being very polite, obviously, but, you know, not pretending that, even if you're doing a bait and switch on me, I'm going to be polite and I will still honor my engagement. Well, if you're trying to take advantage of me, I don't see why I should not say no and feel guilty about it. So that for me, it's a big, big learning experience and it's very refreshing. I'm really looking forward to bring that as well in North America. And it's you know, like clarity has really felt easy here. And I think it's not just, to be totally honest, I don't think it's just my own personal work and my own personal energy. I think it's the energy of a place as well, where, as I said, everyone is very supportive. And so not having this mercenary energy around, you also feel a bit less as a prey, and it's easier to be assertive and to stand your ground. So I think it's a better environment for, at least for people like me who tend to be maybe a bit less ruthless than the average crowd. So, and the thing that I really enjoyed is, you know, the serendipity as well. Again, as I said, I went to this networking event. I met a lovely, lovely woman in the elevator who was also freshly arrived in Dubai. And we had a great time chatting, waiting for our Uber. And I met her yesterday, actually, at the Butterfly Garden for a follow-up. So that was very, very fun. So probably the best networking follow-up that I've ever had. So again, Dubai is really teaching me that professional interactions, they don't have to be, you know, a grind of delayed responses, guarded introductions, distracted half hours, and all of that. And, you know, it can be light, it can be generous, it can be fun. And that is a great realization. And it's also nice to see myself in a different light and to see that actually I'm really doing the right thing, saying the right thing, enjoying it, and seeing progress, I would say, in my conversation. So that's it for networking in Dubai. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I hope you're enjoying seeing this podcast or listening to it when you want to learn more maybe about Dubai and also what I'm up to. So thank you so much for being here and have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.